Mr. Lakshmi Narayanan, Vice Chairman at Cognizant, joins us on the show from Chennai. Mr. Narayanan, good morning and thanks very much for taking time out and joining us today on ET Now. First, talk about the bigger picture, Mr. Narayanan. Is the demand for IT services as gloomy as some of your peers have painted, or it's only some pockets which are sluggish?
Good morning, Aisha, and thank you for having me on the show. The IT sector is, from our perspective, one of the sectors that's doing well. Going by the numbers that NASSCOM has published also, it's showing reasonable growth, although not the levels of growth that we used to in the past. But given the technology changes, given the pressures that many of the businesses are in US, Europe, and the Asia-Pacific region, I think we are in a good spot. The IT sector as a whole is investing in newer technology, in business transformation. And if I take a couple of examples, in the last 6 months, although there has been talk about the banking and financial services sector being under pressure, there is one component of that, which is the insurance sector, that is doing particularly well across the board, not just for a company like Cognizant, but for many other companies. Likewise, there are sectors like retail and manufacturing that are investing for the future. So we are quite upbeat, quite bullish about the IT sector, its prospects. Not only are we focused on delivering growth for the current period, but more importantly, we are focused on the future, the shape of things to come in the next 3 to 5 years. There are tremendous opportunities. So all in all, I would say it's as a sector, it holds a lot of promise as far as growth is concerned. And as far as India is concerned, plenty of growth opportunities, both for the existing players, but more importantly for what we call the global in-house centers or the captive centers, which are growing at a tremendous pace. They are really growing, although we don't get to see the numbers. They're investing a lot in people, in technology in India. And so we are quite upbeat about the sector and the prospects it holds for the future.
Morning, Mr. Narayanan. Nikunj Dalmia also joining in from the studio. If I look at your annual guidance, you've slashed your annual guidance from 23% to 20%, which is okay because it is much higher than the NASSCOM estimate and it is certainly the highest in the industry. What gives you the confidence that you will be able to grow at 20% plus when industry is only growing at about 14-15%?
Clearly, good morning, Nikunj. The opportunities in the IT sector have been tapped by different people and in different manner. For example, the position that Cognizant took fairly early was to keep our margins at a predictable, controllable, certain level and invest significantly in the business. And in return for that higher investment, we delivered greater growth, which is the story that is continuing. And if you have seen in the past quarters, we have been consistently growing better than the industry average. That's truly because of the investment. Now, if you look at the industry climate, the market, the investment in technology has not reduced on the part of the major corporations. They are continuing to invest, although the acceleration in investment that we anticipated has not taken place. We really thought that major corporations will significantly increase their investment in technology. That's not happened. This is not to say that they will not invest in technology. This is more to say that timing-wise, they have probably postponed some of the major investments. But having said that, they have not reduced the investments. And in the past few quarters and years, we have been getting a fair share of the additional investment and growing and taking market share away from some of the global multinationals, etc. That gives us the confidence that we will continue to grow above the industry average. Industry average itself is high, considering the situation and the macroeconomics. 11 to 14% that NASSCOM has predicted is significantly high. It's higher than many of the individual players have indicated. So to stay above that, we feel quite comfortable based on the recent wins as well as the relationship that we have established with the many players there. At this point, there isn't anything that gives us concern that things may not pan out the way that we have planned.
Right. Mr. Narayanan, does the industry have the mettle right now to overcome some of the recent challenges? I mean, can it survive if BFSI was the biggest spender, was to go the telecom way, be sluggish for 2 to 3 years?
Absolutely. I mean, I have every confidence that the entire sector can manage the current situation and come out winning. First and foremost is compared to what it was a few years back, the size of the industry is much bigger now. Its export industry is $60 billion plus. The overall IT industry in India is $100 billion or close to $100 billion. That's a very, very large sector. And with that size comes the resilience. With that comes the expertise that people have who are planning not only for this quarter and the next quarter, but for the future. And some of the investments and the opportunities that companies like Cognizant and others are chasing clearly gives an indication of where the investments are going and how Indian industry will be a leading player. Earlier we used to talk about being relevant in the technology sector. Now the relevance is taken for granted. Now we are talking about being important in the future, creating and participating in the future and shaping the future, and not just being relevant there but being an important player. So this is the language that we hear day in and day out from the industry players, and that's the confidence that we need in order to face the market situation.
Right, but Mr. Narayanan, I mean, do you see signs of revival in the second half of 2012 for the entire IT space? And do you think the industry can grow at NASSCOM's guided 11 to 14%, or do you think there could be a risk to this figure as well? And can smaller companies really manage this slowdown?
The smaller companies will be a lot more challenged in terms of managing the growth if there is a downturn, if there is some economic situation that reduces the growth or reduces the market opportunity. But clearly the top players and the mid-sized players have planned, have the capability, have the resilience to meet the challenges that are likely to come. It's not as though the entire industry or at least the major companies are taking for granted the growth. Every one of us, including Cognizant, is looking at what are the risks in the next 3 months, in the next 6 months, in the next 1 year, 2 years, to the business model, to the opportunities, to technology, etc. So that kind of planning happens in the larger companies, and the larger companies in the captive centers contribute to more than about 80% of the industry growth and the industry export. So that's something that is well protected. The point that you make is very valid. Are the smaller and mid-sized companies, some of the lower end of the mid-sized companies, are they capable of the downturn? There is a big question mark. It's that 20% that they contribute about 20% of the overall revenue, and they require some help. Clearly they require some help. Some of them are equipped, some of them are not clearly well equipped, and that's an area where industry players and the industry body like NASSCOM is helping them out.
Mr. Narayanan, is Cognizant in the number game? Because 3 years ago you were India's 5th largest IT company, you are number 2. Do you have ambition to be India's number 1 IT company?
We are clearly not in the numbers game, although it makes us happy that we are progressing well. We keep track of the list. Where do we figure? Do we figure among the top 10 global players in the health informatics? Do we figure among the top 5 in the global banking, financial services, insurance industry, etc., as done by, let's say, an American banker, etc. These are essentially numbers that tells us where we are we making progress, are we going in the right direction, where should our investments be directed. But our key focus is not to be the number 1 or to get to a position where we can claim that we are the best and the brightest. Our focus has always been very, very customer-centric.
Right, so I'm sure if you get the crown of being India's number 1 IT company, secretly you want that. That will make you happy. Come on, admit it, sir.
Absolutely. I'll be absolutely thrilled if we get to that type of a position, surely. But to say that when I wake up in the morning, is that the only thing that's going through my mind? Clearly not. That's more a consequence of doing things right, building the relationship with our customers, some of the things that we have clearly known for as the organization that provides the best customer experience, number 1. And number 2, as probably the leading organization that is business driven, business outcome driven as far as the clients are concerned, much more than the technology outcome. And these are the 2 key differentiating factors that keep our customers with us and that delivers the growth for us and delivers a great deal of growth opportunities for the people within the company.
Mr. Narayanan, you're sitting on a huge cash pile. Are you open to acquisitions? Because the last industry outperformance was thanks to aggressiveness as well as acquisitions.
Yes, acquisitions have helped us in the last 5 or 6 years. We have done close to 10 acquisitions, mid-sized and small. We are very comfortable doing acquisitions, integrating them to fill the strategic gaps. Our philosophy has been to continue to acquire in key areas and key capabilities. And over this period, the size of the opportunities, the size of acquisitions that we have made have also gone up, keeping in mind the total size of the organization. So we are looking at larger opportunities, and acquisition clearly is part of our growth strategy.